Having a great summer at the moment. I've had quite an eventful summer. It's been a lot of travel and incidents. A couple of questions people have actually asked me. I'm going to answer in a second, but just thought I'd bring you up to date with some of the things that are happening, are going to be happening. Obviously, this year we went to France for what we call a pop up event. That basically was an impromptu event that I thought, well, I'm in that area, why don't I do something and just do a 3 hour event like that so that people could experience it in France, because I hadn't been back to France for so long. And it was interesting because I had a number of people turn up at the last minute. I even had some police officers turn up, and that was really funny because we had started working, and these four guys walk up, like this, and my assistant basically said, "Can I help you?" And he said, "Yeah, we're police." And they show the badge. He's like, "Well, what's wrong?" He said, "No. We heard that we had Adrian Paul here, and we were just coming to check that everything was okay." All right. He said, "Well, we'll be back later." So we spent 2.5, 3 hours, and then they're back at the end. They said, "Did everything okay?" I said, "Yeah, but why did you come?" "Well, we knew that this event was taking place, and we had a celebrity in the area, and we basically wanted to just check up and make sure that everything was okay. And by the way, can we take a picture?" And I said, "Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, no problem." It's good to have somebody looking out for you. So that was really nice. But that pop up event then went to. I mean, I travelled a lot through Europe this summer. And I went to Croatia after the south of France. I went to Hungary, and then to England, and then to Ireland, then back to Hungary, then flew back through Vienna. And so I was doing it also to see what we would do next year, because this year really is a test. I mean, we had low numbers at our events, but I think we had a lot of fun at those events. Everybody really liked it. I changed the format slightly, and I'm going to be looking at possibly doing that at some of our events coming up, whereby we possibly make it a 2 day event and not as long per day. That basically means you would train in an area first and learn all the techniques, and then you can go home and think about it, and the next day you perform it at an amazing location. That won't happen at all our experiences, but I'm looking at that because what I found was a lot of people liked it wasn't quite as rushed, and people felt like at ease. When we did England, we did 3 different locations. We did Kirkstall Castle, we did the Royal Armouries, and we did Harewood House. And each one was going from one to the next, and they were able to perform in 2 of those locations. And it was great. We had lunch at Kirkstall Abbey. It was nobody there, and we had lunch, and then we performed the kata and did the fights there. The other thing it also gave us was that it didn't only allow you to have the fight with one person, it allowed you to fight with 2 or 3 or 4. In Ireland, when we did Ireland, there were 4 fights you had where you did the same choreography but with a different partner, and that was really interesting because people picked it up quicker, but you had a different timing with different people, so it really let you learn how to adjust when you have a different partner in front of you, and they're maybe not as skilled, or they're more skilled than your last partner, or more skilled than you. So you get to learn different things from other people, and I think that's another thing we're going to be trying to do at our events, to do that as well as our 3-person fights. So the sort of experience is going to be trying a few different things. Now, I started this talking about France and England, etc., because we are looking at a tour next year in France. And it's going to, we are in the very preliminary stages right now, but it will be mid-June to late June is when we're looking, so it wouldn't be quite as hot. Starting in Paris, going to the Loire Valley and then the amazing castles they have there, possibly doing an experience down there, and then one in the south of France. Now, it won't be all sword work, it will be Highlander locations, as well as sword work, as well as relaxation and visiting some of the amazing towns. In Aix-en-Provence, for instance, there was this beautiful town called l'Île-sous-la-Sorgue, and this was about 35-40 minutes from Aix-en-Provence, and it's a town that is surrounded by water. And so it's a little stream, and it's a medieval town. Or it's very small little streets, beautiful little stores, little restaurants on the river. A stunning little place. And actually that was, somebody asked me, what fun places have I been to, and that was probably one of the nicest places I have ever been to. As a village, it was a stunning little village for that type of experience. So I want to give you guys that experience and people that experience as we move forward next year. So we're looking at arranging this so that you can, if you want, take the whole tour or take pieces of the tour. So you could just do the Paris event, or you could do Paris and Loire, or you could do Paris in the south of France, or the Loire in the south of France. So we're trying to create, but we're going to launch this hopefully very early this year. We'll, well into, by October we should have all the things arranged. We're looking at things right now. So I wanted to bring you that because I think that's kind of something we've not done before. We've done retreats. But not tours, and we learn as we go along from what you guys want and how you perceive the events. Our retreats, for instance, we found things that work and things that didn't work as well. So and things that you liked better to do. So each one now we kind of adjust what we're doing. Now, anything else I can tell you? What else was this year? Oh yes. We are also, I did mention this probably about 8 months ago. So at the beginning of the year, we were going to start launching our new, I don't want to call it lightsaber, but it's our Vitae Invertus Institute, which is based on light weapons, for want of not using trademark verbs, should I say. But we are looking at now we're much closer to, because we've had people in training to do this this process, because we are going to be launching a series of videos that will be this program that you can take wherever you are. It's going to be aimed for martial arts dojos, for kids and for adults if they wish. And we're also looking at universities and campuses. So it's a bit of a process. Is a big leap for us, because we're going to be opening this up to a different audience. And we're going to possibly, we're going to Tampa in end of September. And we're going to possibly introduce that there. So it'll be a different thing that we've done before. A lot of these things, for instance, this Colorado event we have this coming weekend, we're going to be looking at some real basic stances, which we've not done before. A lot of time we start with just the regular on guard stance, but I've looked at some of the traditional stances that I think you might enjoy learning, and we're going to be introducing those at the Colorado event as well as introducing those at some of our new events. So each of our events now, like we've always done, we're adding different things to them that hopefully you guys can bring. Now, anything you guys want to add to that, please let us know, because we're always interesting. I always want to what's the word? Make things new, because I get bored with them too. Imagine the amount of events I've done. Today I've actually talked about the films that we want to look at, because there are a lot of action films out there, a lot of sword films out there, and we'll get to those in a minute. But the ones we're going to be looking at today are going to be the Three Musketeers. Partly because we have a new Three Musketeers coming out in 2023, believe it or not. There was one in 2011 with Luke Evans. There was one in 1993 with a whole host of people. There was another one in 1973. There was one in 1949. And each one has had a level of acceptance, if you like. The best one was actually 1973. That was actually with Oliver Reed. But we're going to look at those today. And I'm going to give my opinions as to what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. and you guys can sort of mention your comments back as well. But before we get to that, I want to answer some of your questions. Somebody said, what was the best and worst holiday experiences I've had this summer? Well, let's start with the best, because the worst is I think I've already mentioned what I did on the worst one, but anyway, on my vlog. But the best part of it was I actually really liked the south of France, because I thought it was stunning. It was in Aix-en-Provence. It was easy to get to the beaches. It was easy to get to the mountains. It was a very central area, and I loved that portion of it. I loved seeing my family. That was part of the other part of the holiday. Watching my 2-year-old go from toddling and now wanting to do this and growing and talking. I was really fortunate this year to travel to some really cool places. Those of you that have not been to Croatia, it's a beautiful country. The sea is absolutely crystal clear. I didn't like the area where we were at, where there was a stony beach, because you had to have rock shoes for it. The plus to that is that there was no sand blowing in your face when the wind blew up. But and then going to Ireland and going to England, I mean, some of the places I saw this year, as well as taking my son with me and watching him go through different soccer camps, football camps to somebody. So those were kind of the things that I really kind of enjoyed this summer. The worst thing was probably when I fell asleep at the wheel. That was not fun. I had my family in the car, and things happen. It happens. And the funny thing was, we'd just taken a flight from Aix-en-Provence, or from Marseille actually, to Croatia, and we had a 3-hour drive to the place we were going to be staying at. And I'd only had 4 hours sleep the night before, and the night before that 4 hours sleep, because the kids were up, because we were going to do things, etc., etc. And it was a stress getting to the airport. The airport was packed, and people were struggling to get through lines. I mean, we got there fairly, with about 2 hours ahead, but we still barely made the flight. And so there's a bit of that. I don't think I slept on the flight. And then when we got there, I got in my mother-in-law's car. Of course I did. Basically everybody fell asleep. So after about an hour, I remember seeing a sign that says, "Don't, sleep and drive, pull over." And I thought, oh no, I'm fine. And I must have just dozed off. And there were a lot of curves and I must have just gone off. And I hit the center railing, and I woke up to bang, and I was like, oh my gosh. And woke everybody else in the car. My wife is what happened? I said, well, I think I just fell asleep, and I just hit and I'm thinking in my head, I hope I didn't. I think I must have just scraped it slightly. It's okay. I should be fine. So I'm trying to flash my lights to my brother-in-law who's in front of me, and finally he pulled over, and I said, let's pull over. Let's go to a rest stop. And I walk out in the rest stop, and I'm like, I hope it was just an easy little bit of a scratch. And I exit the car, and I look at the car, and the entire side of the car is gone, basically. The front, the wheels, the friggin' doors. And I'm like, oh no. And I said to my mother, I'm so sorry. And my wife is like, I can't believe we did this. And I drive a lot of places, and that's the first time it's ever happened in 40 years of driving. So it can happen to anybody. So be aware of it. It's just so that was not a pleasant. I felt terrible. I still feel terrible about it. I feel terrible that I had my family in the car. I feel terrible that it was my mother-in-law's car. But the good thing is everybody was actually okay. So if that was my worst thing in the summer. I think that covers. One of the things somebody said, what did I learn about my my trip? I think that was the thing, was really sort of listen to. There are always signs, I think, we get in life, and we don't necessarily heed them. If we want to get a job, if we want to, have a part in a film, if we want, and something comes up, and we ignore it, because it's not what we thought it should be. We sit there, and so you're looking for a film, and this B movie comes up, or you're looking for a new car, and this old rental that somebody else has had before comes. Well, sometimes, it makes sense to not take notice of that, but sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, because if you move to that, it opens up another opportunity. So I think sometimes you have to be open to learning that life is giving you the things that you are asking for. I don't think it happens just by chance. How many times have you said, oh, you know what, I haven't seen such and such in such a long time, and all of a sudden there's a call from them, or you get in contact with them 3 days later and you go, oh, I was just thinking of you. I truly believe that's because we put that energy out there, and that energy comes back in a way sometimes that we don't really expect. So, I mean, it's something that's, I think, was what I learned this summer, is really to listen to what my inner instinct was telling me. Somebody else actually said, did I have any fun adventures? I think I've run through most of them. One of the best things I actually think I had this summer was driving with my son. He's growing up now, and so he's just turned 10, and which I can't believe. And driving with him to the places and seeing how he's different away from the family, I think was fun, because when he's got his sister and his brother and his mom and me, it's a different dynamic than it's just me and him. And he was able to go and spend some time with my family in England. Unfortunately,